Should I say something so that Randy can check his audio?
Yeah.
No, not you, Randy. Randy Geisler. He can't seem to find
Whatever.
his voicemail. There we go. Now it looks like we're at 9 o'clock. So we'll call this meeting to order. And we'll do our roll call.
Karen.
Here.
Rob.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Ryan. Tom. Well, I'm here.
So we're missing, I see Tom's on, so he's good. We're missing Morgan and Ryan.
No, Morgan's here.
Morgan's here. We got him, Morgan.
Yeah, I'm here.
We don't have Ryan. Okay.
I see we have a Ryan on the phone, but I don't know if it's the
All right, can you
Ryan.
hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay. Well, very good. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your weekend to come to a meeting. We'll hopefully make this one efficient. We have the consent agenda. There were no apparent reports filed by any of the committees. And we just have the minutes from the last meeting. So do we have any additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion, Rob.
A second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Right. Any discussion on that? Vote, please.
Karen.
I wasn't in attendance, so no.
Rob.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Okay, so Rob, financial report.
Oh, right. Sweet. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, in total, assets are at 1,459,484 and some change. So we've got in our general Pacific Premier checking account just over 42,000, in our Quad checking almost 54,000, in our Firewise account $840, Pacific Premier legal money market just over 38,000. The garbage money market is at just over 80,000, and then the marina money market is at 70,000, with the CD for the marina at just over $917,000. The volunteer fund checking account is approaching 44,000, and then the volunteer money market account is just about 41,500. And then finally, the road money market is just over 170,500. And then financials have been posted to the website, correct, Michelle?
That's correct.
Awesome, thank you.
Well, that was easy. Anybody have any questions for the financial?
Yeah, I do a quick one. Well, I don't know why that's happening.
We can hear you, Tom.
Oh, okay. I saw on the volunteer fundraising that one of those accounts was designated a checking account. Is
Mhm.
that new
No, that's always been that
based
way.
on that discussion that we were having earlier?
No,
Okay.
yeah, it's always been that way.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right, so we can go to committee reports. And Steve, I didn't know what you had, but I'm sure there was going to be something, so I put you down for an update. Steve?
There we go. I got my mic turned on now.
Okay.
All right. Spoke with Kevin, our Proptia rep. 2.0 should be out by the end of March. Nothing as far as new information on it at this time. They're building the website version first, and we'll go into the app second. I will need to have communication with everyone on that. Landowners getting notices on how to upgrade from 1 to 2. At this time, it's still set, they still tell me that it's going to be seamless, which there's always going to be a hiccup with that. Can I throw in the garbage at the same time?
Sure.
Okay. The garbage, I spoke to Jim from the fire department's board, and he is working on getting us a little bit more property, whether it's going to be a lot line adjustment or just allowing us to have a little more space without that. He's trying to get a hold of the county right now to see if that's even possible. Otherwise, that's all that's new that's going on.
All right. Thank you. Any questions from anybody for Steve? Okay. Volunteer fundraising, Kyle, update on what's going on, either you or Meg.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so we had our annual meeting a month ago, and we had a very nice turnout. And so we talked about all the accomplishments that we had done in 2024. So there was numerous club meetings, Gun Club, Bunko, the volunteer committee, and 3R Watch, and the board of directors, mostly at the event center, but also at the annex. There were a total of 7 can and bottle sorts, which raises money that all stays right here in Three Rivers.
Oh, God. Huh?
We had a New Year's Eve party and a cook-off at the 2024, and that was at the event center. We had a Super Bowl Sunday in February at the event center. We had a rhythms floral arrangement class in March, which we're going to have again this year too. We had the Easter egg hunt for the kiddos and adults, and that was down at the beach area in Rec Hall. We had several weekends in April for the annual beach cleanup and dock repairs. And so I know that we've all talked about what happened down there with docking, and that was a huge investment. But the remedy for the future is we need to enforce no tie-ups on that dock area. And I know that Karen went so far as to go and talk to Lauren and had him, correct me if I'm wrong, Karen, had him put into the application when people are getting a houseboat, it says that they are not to tie up at the docks and they will be financially responsible if anything happens. Is that true?
That's the letter we anticipate. Yes, that we looked. It wasn't Lauren. It was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No, I'm sorry. Gary Pop. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
But I
Then
don't
we
know.
had a,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You're good, Meg. Thank you.
Okay, and then we had a very sad going away party for the Ciprianos, and unfortunately their daughter passed away a couple of weeks ago, and I'm glad they were over there to be with her. In May, we had a Jefferson County review. by Rick Molitor, who was running for county commissioner, and it was very informative. Then May 11th and 12th was the fire break cleanup and renovation, very successful. A lot of volunteers down there, and they just burned that off last month also. Also in May was the board of directors retirement party for Randy and Jeff and Ed at the event center. And then Saturday on May 25th, we had bingo at the rec hall, which was very successful. On Saturday, 7/6, we had bingo at the rec hall, which was 100 degrees. It was pretty well attended, but my goodness, that was miserable. And then on August 31st, we had the last bingo of the season. On the 1st of September, we had the Labor Day games, family fun, and a huge turnout down at the rec hall. Thanks to the guys who saved our bacon on that one. We had numerous private weddings, birthdays, receptions, and more throughout the summer at the beach, the rec hall, and the event center. The pickleball courts also continue to have property owners and their guests utilize them for fun. November was football season at the event center at 3 different events. In December was the annual Gifto, which was also a great turnout. Everybody had a good time. And then we finished the year saying hail and farewell to 2024 with one more New Year's Eve party and a cook-off at the event center. And before I get to what we're hoping to accomplish this year, I just want to put out a heartfelt request for kitchen help at bingo. The callers who have moved down to Texas most of the time, they for the last 2 years have paid their own way to come back up here via airplane to work out in the kitchen there at bingo, and also their aunt/cousin Charlotte has been our money taker, and the 3 of them have decided not to continue. So unless we can get some additional help, and Kyle and I have talked about this, I would prefer it was somebody who was able to do all 3 weekends, because there's a lot to learn. We look like we're having fun over there, and we are, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot to learn. And so I'm going to make that announcement at the annual meeting also, but I just wanted to make it to everybody who was on the Zoom today. So any questions, any additions to the recap for 2024? No? Okay, then also on that same day, January 24th, we had a kind of a everybody to give their ideas of projects that we could accomplish in 2024. And there was a number of people there, plus we had a couple people on the Zoom. And so in no particular order, this is what the group came up with. The first one was to adopt a picnic table, because we do have 15 or 16 new picnic tables coming, where somebody would have, or we would have a metal plaque made that went in the middle of the picnic table that would help offset purchasing those. And then to enlarge the bingo kitchen at the rec hall, a new sign designating the event center. The next one was QR code at several locations at 3 Rivers to get info regarding renting the event center or the rec hall and the ability to make application. The next one was for walking trails for people, not motorized vehicles. The next one was wall and ceiling acoustics at the event center. The next one was solar lights for the 3R front gate sign. And that one I know in particular, because I came through the gate not too long before this meeting, and the light that's up there doesn't shine on the sign itself. It shines straight down, so you don't even see that it says 3 Rivers. The next one was to paint all the legs and posts of the 3R front gate and sign. The next one was, this one's interesting, competitions between the event center and the discourse and the gun club, meaning that we would put together maybe a day or a weekend where there'd be competitions at all three of those destinations. So we'll see how that one goes. Then handicap access a little bit better for the beach area. I know the beach cleanup folks have done an amazing job, but it still there isn't something where somebody can just roll straight from the parking area onto area. You have to go down some hills. So we'll see about that one. Handrails added to the steps at the glass recycle trailer. A couple of people have said that was slippery. Wi-Fi at the boat launch area and the rec hall. Then a cross dock off the boardwalk, and that's in quotes. As you're launching your boat, the docking to the left of you is attached to the earth. So that is a stable area. And evidently the whole lake community, the group of people that are looking into issues with the lake, they thought about an idea to make a 90-degree turn at the end of that boardwalk and then add docking that is attached to the earth where people could put their boat momentarily, like if they have to go over to the marina store. They didn't do it when the boat was still tied up. Anyhow, we'll see how that goes. A D&D Marina weekend entertainment contributions. The next one was 1 or 2 or 3 AED machines, aside from the one that was donated to the front gate. One of them at least at the event center in the rec hall, and then a CPR class for everybody at Three Rivers who wants to attend it. So those were basically all the ideas that came out of that. Then I sent out an email to everybody who was there to vote on their top 3. Now, one of the things that we didn't discuss, because it has to happen, is the repair and or replacement of the cistern at the event center. It's just a mess. And Steve Doan has been nursing it, band-aiding it for a couple of years now. And so we'll get bids on that. So that one is definitely happening. We have to have that. The next one that was voted on was Wi-Fi at the beach area and rec hall. And Kyle has already moved forward. Dave McIntyre is going to donate all of the solar product needed except for the 4 batteries. And we just put in for reimbursement for him at that pump house that's right on the left where you launch your boats. They've inspected that area, and that's where we're going to put a solar system. And then Kyle will put into effect having Wi-Fi down there. Number 1, and this is huge, is for safety. Having been an EMR, if there was somebody drowning a little kiddo, somebody would have, if they didn't have access down there, I do, but most people don't, they'd have to go up the hill to call 911. So this would give us access for safety reasons, just like the gun club did last year. They bounced the signal off of the event center, and so that we've got coverage down there if there was ever an accident. We want the same thing down at the beach area and the swim area, and hopefully we'll be able to bounce it up to the rec hall and for the Easter egg hunt and for the Labor Day games. And here's why. We also want to, and we're going to get just one and try it, we want to get a machine where people could tap their card or whatever means that the thing will allow, where they can make donations or buy the food at bingo or buy the bingo packages. So we'll see how that goes. That's kind of ongoing. And then the third big thing that was voted on was acoustics at the event center. And Kyle and I just received from Mike McAdams a quote on doing that. And next week we'll look at the colors options that we have. So those 3 things from that meeting were voted on as the top 3. Number 4, which was a close fourth, was the AED machines and the CPR class. And I know we're going to have plenty of money to do that too. But since these other were our top 3, that's what we're going to be working on. So that was the results of that volunteer fundraising committee meeting. Any questions?
No, it sounds like it's going to be a very busy year coming up. I think you've got a lot of projects lined up. So does anybody else have any questions?
No, just.
Kyle, anything,
Oh, go ahead.
anything you want to add, Kyle?
Yeah, I do have something I want to add. One of the things that would be helpful is for us to have our own access to either a debit card or a credit card, just to fund all our operational, some operating money as we go out and get gifts for the events. I do anticipate we're going to put Starlink as the internet access solution down at the dock and event center. Starlink has, for those who haven't used it, it's a fantastic solution. It's getting cheaper and cheaper every day. You do not have to have an annual contract. So we could turn on and off the service. It's $120 a month. And then for another $50 a month, we could have a second kind of subsystem, and they'll just charge a credit card. I'd prefer not it to be my own and then have to get reimbursed. I'd rather put that on there. So we had suggested us opening a bank account just so we have some operating money. Robbie thought we should maybe wait and kind of work with Julie and figure out the best way to make that happen. And I don't really care how we make it happen. I just think that having a debit card or a credit card, whether it's tied to our existing Premier Bank or a separate account, we don't really care how we do that, but I think it would be helpful.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to discuss that at this meeting because I don't want to make that decision by myself. I think that has to be a board decision. Before we go into that, a quick question. I wonder if there's any captive portal software we could look at implementing as part of the Wi-Fi down at the lake. With you can have just like if you go to Starbucks and you got a captive portal that you see branded Starbucks, it could be branded like Billy Chinook, brought to you by the Volunteer Fund Committee.
Right.
With maybe some rules to reinforce some rules and that sort of thing, both rules of use of the Wi-Fi itself, but also rules of like the boat launch and all that good stuff. And then even a option for people to pay right there via the portal, not necessarily for the Wi-Fi, but just to help fund the various activities. So that was just kind of that might be an option via software to collect some additional revenue from.
Yeah, we had already. We had already discussed that because like at the Easter egg hunt, they get a lot of people wanting to make donations. And so that was another driving force aside from the safety situations in the water. And the same thing was true of the Labor Day games. And I talked to the gal who runs Leslie, who runs the gate to the lake, and she had the same thing where people wanted to make donations. So Rob, that would definitely be a part of that. Kyle has already thought about that too.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah. So just, I don't want to go into all the details of it, but I can kind of give you a high level thoughts, my high level thoughts. So on the captive portal, the captive portal is for those who don't know, is like when you first log into a system, it'll give you, if you go to a hotel, you put in your name and your room number or something like that. And there's some rules and things that you agree to on the types of use. There are some I do plan on using a third party router in addition to the Wi-Fi, the Starlink system itself. And there are options to have the captive portal. I think we're going to kind of crawl, walk, run type strategy where at first our goal is to have this up and operational by Easter, and then add in the captive portal stuff. There are some additional costs associated with that. All these solutions have the ability to monitor how many people are actually getting on and actually using it. And so I'd like to kind of monitor it, get it going and monitor it and see how many people are actually using it. And I think the captive portal idea is great. It'll cost us a little bit of money, but it's probably worth it. Some of the routers, third-party routers you get, you can have up to 256 people, on a single access point. You know, there's always going to be a point where, hey, we need to make this bigger or smaller or whatever, depending on the usage. I just don't know how many people are actually going to use it. The idea that I have is to make, you know, kind of a stay connected, stay safe kind of message, and use, you know, we'll have 3 areas that we have that Three Rivers pays for internet access. One, you know, will be at the beach area. That'll be new. We already have internet access at the events center, which is kind of a dead spot in Three Rivers. So if you pull into the parking lot, if you had the password, you can get on there. And the third is at the gate. And so what I'm thinking is we put some signage up there, you know, stay connected, stay safe type message with a QR code that allows you to log into the Wi-Fi, you know, so, you know, you can get a phone call out if you need to, you can get text messages out if you need to, you get email if you need to, and these would just be public access things that are funded by Three Rivers. We're, you know, initially we're not thinking that we have people pay for those, depending on how popular they are, and if we want to keep them up and operational all year round, you know, that's going to cost us more money. I'm thinking this is something that in the busy seasons we have it up and running, you know, from like Memorial Day to Labor Day, or maybe a little bit longer on either end of that. Yeah, so it's not just the beach area. We would, you know, we just make the passwords available, a guest network available at, again, the beach, the event center, and at the front office, and there'd be a separate network. There'd be a Three Rivers guest. You know, we can make whatever the network name, whatever we want, but that's what, you know, people could log in and get access to a network. They could get a message out if they need to.
Kyle, is there a way to prevent people at the beach from, you know, streaming Netflix on that? Because if we do have an emergency, we got a bunch of people streaming music and or whatever.
Yeah.
We might not be able to get an emergency call out.
Yeah. So that's part of the captive portal piece. That's the third party software that would, you know, block certain types of usage from happening. You know, you could limit bandwidth, you could limit time. There's all kinds of parameters and management tools that you can have to get that up and running. And again, you know, how much restriction we put in out of the gate, you know, I don't know yet. My goal is to, again, by Easter, have it up and running, that allows people to donate more money and make it easy for them to donate money. And at the adult auction, make it easier for them to buy things. And then between Easter and Memorial Day, I'll be really focused on the management tools that we could use to restrict the types of usage. You know, these people aren't just hogging the bandwidth, just give everybody a little bit of bandwidth. So again, the goal is to get a message out if you need to, you know, make a phone call quickly, get a text out, you know, just because the beach area, the event center, those are really dark areas from a communication perspective inside Three Rivers. You know, a lot of, even if you have good cell service, those areas typically don't by the major providers. And this would allow you to be connected while you're down there. So be connected, be safe. That's the message. And there'll be a sign at each one of those areas if, you know, as we move forward.
One more quick question with regard to making donations and things like that. Why couldn't people use Venmo or Zelle and make the contribution directly to our general fund? Because there'd be plenty of documentation as to what came in. And it's already
well, I'm a big believer in making it simpler for people to use money. And what I was thinking, that's one of the reasons why I want to have a third party or a bank account this focused on fundraising that money goes directly into. We will be using the Square terminal, which allows us to People can, buy a hamburger or buy a bingo packet. It costs us 2.6% of the transaction and 10 cents per swipe, but we'll just build that in. But when we do that, we need to point our bank, when people swipe their card, it needs to go someplace into a bank account. And I'll work with Rob on the most efficient way to do that, whether, I having a third bank account, I know we have the checking account and the CD that's tied to the volunteer fund. I'm thinking a third account that is just kind of an operational thing. And it is a really easy way to just kind of manage the money, and it just goes in there. It'll be easy for Julie to track. The same thing with expenses that goes out of it. It'll just be an easy way to manage the numbers. So yeah, and the same thing applies. You can set up Venmo or so, there's a number of different services. But having that separate from, from our $80,000 sitting there, I kind of like that. But whatever Rob thinks is the best way to run it, I'll take his advice.
Okay, well, that's all exciting stuff. And I sent you a text, Kyle, by the way. I can get stuff at cost from a company called PepLink, who does a lot of communications gear, outdoor stuff, ruggedized and that sort of thing. So let's sync up on that.
Oh yeah, let's check. I've been looking at all kinds of stuff, so we could compare notes. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, on the banking stuff, I reached out to Fieldstone and asked, and their response was, I would advise against opening another bank account and granting access to non-board members. As a reminder, only board members are authorized to be signatories on and have access to bank accounts / cards. And so I don't want to slow down the progress. And I do want to open this up to the general board to discuss, but like today for this Zoom meeting, we use a Umpqua card from Three Rivers to pay for that on a monthly basis. So we could certainly do that for, like the Starlink, and get that funneled in. And then we can also have a depository account, like the existing Pacific Premier checking account tied to volunteer funds in the interim or while we're discussing this. So I don't want to slow any of that activity down, but I did want to open it up to the entire board to discuss the idea of another account and cards and that sort of thing. So.
Well, how about you do another card that just says volunteer fundraising committee that is attached to the one of the existing accounts that would specifically take the money out of or put the money into our fundraising committee, one or the other, probably the checking account, because it's going to be difficult to utilize what Kyle is talking about if we have to fund it ourselves, myself, himself, and then wait to get reimbursements, because sometimes those do take weeks, and that's not fair to us.
Yeah, so that you wouldn't have to fund it yourself, because we already have debit cards for the Umpqua account. So like Starlink, for example, we could just use our existing debit card to pay for that monthly recurring, and then just have Julie tie the costs back to the volunteer fund checking account on the back end.
So that's something that Kyle or I could utilize or not?
Well, that's why I want to open it up to the board, because I need support on, do non-board members have access to debit cards, credit cards, that sort of thing?
Rob, could we use is there a way that we could give the volunteer fundraising committee a prepaid credit card, like the ones you can pick up at the store with $500 or $1,000 on it, and then reconcile that way? That way they're not out of pocket on their own money, but they just submit an expense report, and we just, balance it out and reload the thing as needed.
Yeah, that's definitely an idea. I have had terrible experiences with the prepaid cards from like Fred Meyer, for example, where They're wrought with fraud. People just crawl the internet and capture those card numbers, and then all of a sudden you got eBay transactions that you never had and that sort of thing. So, but there might be a way to do that through Pacific Premier.
I believe there is a way to do that through Pacific Premier. When we had originally talked to and Fieldstone approached us about going to that, and I think we would need to research. Tom's ideas, I think, got a lot of merit because that would allow us to give them a limit of the $2,000, which is what we had agreed to before somebody had to be approached to the board. That would give them that as working capital, and it could be a renewable item. And that way they would have control over that, and it would be renewable at whatever time it needs to be renewed. So I think that's going to be our best option to get through this and not have to do a whole lot of extra work, nor get Fieldstone inundated with just financial activities. So let's look at that.
And I love the idea, Meg, because I don't want to make it more difficult for the volunteer fund committee to go buy like hot dog buns and stuff like that. I think that's ridiculous. So I would love to find a way to make it happen. I just was in need of support from the board to understand historically, have we ever done something like that before? So
Well, let's just ask now, everybody on the board, do you have any opposition with trying to find a way of having a regenerative credit card or debit card for volunteer fundraising with a $2,000 limit, so that they can use it for their daily activities? We just need either you have another idea or yes or no. Anybody?
I do like the credit card idea of having something where they can obviously go get all the daily stuff. And with the $2,000 limit on it, there should be more than enough to do their daily operations. I think that's a pretty good solution if there's an option out there.
Okay. Dave, Ryan, Karen?
I would agree with Morgan. I ultimately, our board of directors is responsible for all this money, and I would like to just be cautious about other accounts. And anyhow, I agree with Morgan.
Okay. Dave?
The only thing I want to throw out there is we keep bringing up Fieldstone, and our goal is that's going to go away. So we got to incorporate that going away to where it's going to work for us as a board here also.
Well, I think that's everybody's goal. I honestly believe in that if we were to do this using Tom's suggestion, and getting that type of a card, it's going to be easier for us. I know, being most familiar with QuickBooks, this is something that's easily handled, and you can keep immediate track of it. So I don't think this is going to encumber any change away from Fieldstone.
so would the idea be a daily limit of 2,000? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess Kyle and Meg, is that sufficient if there's a 2,000 daily limit, or is it do you typically
I think that's a reasonable approach. We're just trying to make it easy for everybody. We got these projects we want to get done. Everybody's busy. Personally, I don't mind putting things on my personal card and getting reimbursed. but my wife's a CPA, and when she sees I charge a bunch of money on my card, what the heck's going on? So it'd be just nice to have a business, everything, a card that we can use that we all agree to, and having that $2,000 limit on a card, I think reaches our goal, and I'm fine with that. And we want to be able to track things. We want to be able to be financially responsible. We want to be able to be financially transparent. And having a card that's tied to us, I think that makes that process easier. And so I'm okay with that.
I'm okay
Okay,
with it. I'm
yes.
okay with it too. We will still, if we go over that $2,000 limit, like for the cistern, we're going to try and put that cistern down by the building instead of up. It's kind of an eyesore, and I have actually seen over the years kids making that corner and running their quads into the building, that little cover for the cistern. So to take it down by and make it a little bit bigger down by the event center makes total sense. So we would still, Kyle and I would still put in, or if it's going to be over a $2,000 limit, we would still put in to get approval on those kinds of things.
Absolutely. That would be the only way that we could actually make it work. I mean, we're tied to our bylaws, so we need to be sure that we're doing it properly. This gives you access to a marginal account that is funded and stays within the limits of what we're governed by. So then anything above that, any of the activities still have to be brought to the board for approval. And I don't think that that's, I really don't think that that's going to be that difficult. It sounds like you guys are doing a good job of planning ahead. So I'm sure that you can get your plans laid in place, and at a monthly meeting, we can get it taken care of, and there won't be any slowdowns. So, okay.
Yeah, and the big
Uh,
projects are not the daily stuff we're talking about. The big projects are like what Bill said. This is just the daily things that you guys need quickly to get going and keep operating.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's a great approach.
Okay. We did have a question, and it concerns the bathrooms. I'm assuming down at the beach. Was any of that discussed? I know you guys were going to take care of that, but that's being handled along with the rest of the restrooms that we have, the porta potties, or what are we going to do with the existing ones, that sort of thing?
So I know that we agreed to fund 1/3 of the bathrooms. I think we, if I recall, the budget last year was around $10,000, and we agreed to fund 1/3 of it in 2025 budget. I think Stacy, I thought I saw an email from you, Stacy, that the bathrooms have been ordered, and it'll be ready to go by Easter, at least for down at the beach. Is maybe I think I got that email from Stacy. I believe those are taken care of. Maybe
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's on top of it. So,
I have them ordered. Oh, this is Stacy. I have them ordered, and they'll be in place the Friday before the Easter egg hunt.
Great.
Okay, so
that would be the day before, because the Easter egg hunt is on Saturday now. So that would be the day before or the week before.
No, the day before, because they come out on Fridays, and there's no reason for us to order them a week ahead.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
And we also have, what is the future of the existing porta potties that are down there? Anything from the volunteer fundraising that's going to work on that?
Yeah, I think that needs more time. Personally, I think there's an opportunity to one of the landowners here, Kevin Spencer. He builds vaulted toilets in remote areas for Oregon Department of Transportation. I had a conversation with him about some ideas on what we can do to long term, have a better bathroom situation that's kind of above and beyond just the portable units we have today. We've also had other volunteers that said, "Hey, we'll help put together the design and if you get the people to build them, we can put together a material list." And then the third part of that, is working with the county to get all the permits to do that. We anticipate the county giving us permits to put in vaulted toilets in certain areas. The closer we get to the beach will probably be problematic, but we anticipate them asking us to completely decommission the toilets that are in place. And what that entails, quite honestly, I don't know yet. It may be filling with concrete or filling with dirt, and so more investigation is needed on what it's going to take to satisfy all the different people involved. The county and how much that's going to cost. So
Okay.
We're still investigating that.
The county is not going to allow, I'm 99.9% sure, they're not going to allow placement of the outhouses where they are now. That was done a long time ago, and I know it's been an issue for many, many years, but Kyle's right. There are areas where they could be put, just not exactly where they are. It's too close to the lake, according to the county, as I understand.
Okay. We'll take a look at that, and we'll put that down for future discussion. So,
And the other thing to add to that is we put our own in, who's going to maintain them.
Right.
okay. Geez, way to throw a blanket over it, Dave. Come on. So any other questions for volunteer fundraising comments? Okay. John, you awake?
Yep, still
All right,
here.
buddy. Go for it.
As far as 24 activities, kind of recapping that, I thought the digital newsletter that came out, they did a real nice job with that. So I'll just kind of move forward as to what we're looking to do spring of 25. The last time that we met, we talked about the gun club website. Again, that's totally funded by the gun club itself, not Three Rivers money. But Mary did complete her task of putting a tab under the Three Rivers website under the neighborhood tab. So if you click on that, the Big Canyon Gun Club kind of pops up, and it's really a pretty good looking website. I think we still are having some troubles filling out membership applications and getting funds to our bank, but the rest of it is looking real good. So if you have a chance, take a look at it. The activities for the gun club kind of kick off in April. We'll start with a work party on, I think it's April 12th. And that spring work party is pretty important. We take care of all the damage to steps and all the runoff of water. It's a pretty soggy spot down there right now. And I haven't been able to monitor activities. Our solar system batteries are down, and we'll try to get those up here before too long. But I haven't been able to monitor our cameras as far as utilization of shooters, but usually not too much activity right now. Dave Hine did complete the project of putting at four-wheelers side-by-side trail, suggesting where the road should be relocated, should we choose to do that. And Dave did a great job, came in at spending only $1,900 of the $3,000 that we appropriated for that. So that bill has been turned in to the road committee, as I understand. And Dave has not given us an estimate as to what he thinks it would be for all the rock and compacting and everything. As I understand from Bob Blevins, the road is 11 feet wide, 4 inches of compact gravel. So I mean, there's going to be a real significant expense if that's the dimensions and what we're doing there for the Jerry Rabine road relocation. I have not contacted Jerry until I get at least one of the estimates. Brandon from the gravel pit is supposed to quote, and another guy that has experience in road building, Greg Wynn, might be taking some of Bob's thunder here off the road report, but we're waiting for those two people to go take a look at it. And anyway, the road's cut there. Hop on your quad and go take a look. Don't tear it up though. It's pretty muggy right now, I imagine. As I understand, there is still $30,000 of lot assessments that Three Rivers put in place on when this transaction of the 40 acres was going to take place and the work on the roads and so on. Apparently there were 5 lots and $10,000 a lot that Jerry was going to pay. Maybe Randy has a little better update on that, or Bill. But I was just curious where I guess what's the board expecting to do with those funds, and is that something that could be used uh, toward the relocation of this road?
Well, those funds were just normal payments, would go into the general fund, and would be dispersed through the budget. What we need really right now, there's 2 things we're going to look at and seek, approval of all of the Rabine choices for that piece of property at the annual meeting. Uh, uh, and we're going to try to at least be able to get a feel for uh, what everybody wants to do down there. We want to make sure that we have the expansion and the ideas that are acceptable to the members. The biggest thing is we've got to be able to get the road for Mr. Rabine from the parking lot or from the main road to the gun road down to the gate. And we have to either improve the existing road, or we've made this idea to try this sample road to see if we can get this in and put it in. There's a cost that's involved either way we go. We just need right now, we don't know the cost of either one specifically. Waiting for the bids to come in on the new road, and I think Bob is getting some bids for the repair and installation of culverts and that for the existing road. So uh, we're still out and about on that. I don't know. I think funding will be available for either road. Well, I'm sure it'll be available for either road. I just not sure how much that's going to be, and it'll be driven more by what are the estimates or quotes that we get.
Right. Well, I wonder if what I'd like to do is kind of poll the board of, let's assume that we put $20,000. That was kind of the estimate that Kevin Fitzpatrick thought that road would have to be improved. That was a number that came from Tri-County. And then I guess the difference of that 20,000 to what additional funds would be needed for the upper road relocation. I'd be really interested in what the board's thought is, just how much. I mean, are we willing to put another $20,000 into that? Or, I mean, there's a number where I don't feel I could even support that road relocation at this time, but I'm curious what the board is thinking about the difference in the cost of the road and what might be acceptable to you.
Well, any of the directors want to respond to that?
I think we'll know a lot more. I'll have a better position after the annual meeting on that. Just looking at the asset snapshot today. And also ongoing costs needed to keep up our existing roads. But yeah, in my opinion, that would have to wait until after the annual meeting.
Okay. I just kind of hate to see turmoil at the annual meeting if it's not something that this group could even support, depending upon the cost that comes through. So hopefully, Dave and some of these other guys will be able to get some numbers to us. I have been told we'll have them before the annual meeting. Let's see. Well, I think that's it for me.
Okay. Thank you. And this
Hey,
road thing is,
excuse me 1 sec. John, do you want to mention about the raffle, the kickoff for the raffle?
Sure. We're in the process of finalizing exactly what the raffle's going to do, and Meg did go forward, and we're getting that license in place so that our gun club, as well as the activities of the volunteer committee, will be covered. That was a very good suggestion, Bill. So we're waiting. John Francis is the firearm dealer that will work with us on getting the handgun, and he just got back from Idaho yesterday, as I understand, and Dewey Backistow is working with him to get the same Smith & Wesson handgun. We think that went over very well this last year, and Karen did pony up another load of water, which always is a good staple for selling tickets. Brandon down at the gravel pit did come through, and they're having a load of gravel again. And Lauren came through with a boat slip again. So we're in good shape. We usually net somewhere around $3,500 off the raffle. So that's a very important project. And the only thing we pay for is the handgun.
that's great.
Anything else to add here, Meg? We will be selling tickets down at the annual meeting, and Bill, if we can plan on having that table set up in the back of the room where we have for the last 4 or 5 years, that would be great.
Yeah. We'll make sure you get a table back there. So,
Okay.
all right. Very good. I don't see that Bob's on. And so the roads report, we won't have. The only thing that I was questioning on the roads too was the weight limits. Obviously the roads are soft right now. We've got to be monitoring any loads coming in and out, but due to weather conditions, I'm pretty certain that there's not a lot of building going on. So I think we'll be okay there. Any other committees that wanted to have something up and discuss?
Bill, I just wanted to acknowledge the chat, and Connie Hines made a comment in the chat just for acknowledgement.
What was that?
It says the board needs to have a public bid opening date where all bids are sealed and opened at one time. The board needs to have a scope of work outlined so that the bids cover the same work.
Okay. John, did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
That's new information. That's good.
Okay, and what we can do is you and I can maybe get together this coming week and put together something that we feel will satisfy your needs and such, and then we'll put those limitations together and get it posted and a opening date, and we'll try to get that out to everybody who might be concerned. And Connie, thank you for that.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay. So no other committees. We need a motion to accept the committee reports
I'll make that motion, Rob.
and a second.
I'll second.
Okay. So any discussion on any of that? Hearing none, we'll call for vote.
Karen,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Brian,
Yep.
Tom,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Okay. Let's see, Michelle, was there anything up for public testimony in the chat?
No.
Okay. So we'll go down to old business. I just want to review the annual meetings coming up. We've got the packet at the printer. They had some difficulty this week due to weather conditions and did not get everything completed and ready. I don't know if Stacy, she's been in contact with them, whether they expect to be printing and mailing Monday or not. Do you know, Stacy?
Yes, they will.
Okay. So that will be going out. I know Stacy and Michelle have been working on the check-in protocols, and Karen, you're helping with that?
I put a phone call into each of them last week and didn't hear back, so I'm not sure. But anyhow, I'm willing to.
Okay. And Karen, most of that is just day of stuff that you'll be able to help with, right?
Evidently, yeah.
Oh, well, I don't, okay. So then we'll check and make sure that Stacy and Michelle are doing that. And we have our volunteers. Either we've sent out a request for volunteers, or Stacy, have you already identified the volunteers to help with that?
I have gotten with Stephanie and Walker, and they're having their meeting next week, and we're gonna see if some of them will help volunteer at the meeting.
Okay. All right. And try to be sure to get maybe more than we need, because it's a lot better to have too many than too little. So we have the ballot blanks that are ready. There will I'm sure there will be items to vote on during the meeting. But most of those votes will end up being signified by raising your hand. I don't know that there will be a need for paper ballots. So I don't know if there's a blank ballot needed or not. Karen, do you remember what we were using the blank ballots for before?
If there was a motion from the floor that we wanted to have a actual ballot count on,
Oh,
that's
right.
what we used it as, whatever came before the meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so we should have a blank ballot. She's absolutely right. So we'll do that. And then Dave, I know you weren't at the counting last year. There is a process that we've used over the years that works pretty well. Do you have anything outlined on the way you want to do it, or do we know what we're going to do there?
That's what you and I were going to get together on, and we haven't got that accomplished yet. But I do have some people lined up that will be able to assist.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. All right. We'll do that this coming week and get that out of the way. Stacy, the venue's ready. And Michelle, we have all of our lined up for whatever electronic needs we have.
I have another phone conversation with Kelly at the Elks Club tomorrow, and I will have everything in place. And I am gonna add that table for John in the back for the gun club.
Okay. Michelle, are they going to have everything so that we can do what you did last year?
So I know Rob just asked about, re-asked about the person that ran the slides last year for the Zoom call, to get another confirmation from her. So even if she doesn't, we'll still be good to go as soon as we know for sure that Elks is ready, which sounds like they are. Then we'll be able to go with it.
Okay.
The only thing, Rob, I need from you is money. So we need to do the one-time Zoom fee for the larger meeting that we need to do. So we just need to get together with that.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. Did we decide on food and beverage? And we're not going to, the bar is going to be closed for the meeting. So
That is something that we're discussing tomorrow as well.
okay. It may end up being a longer meeting, so having the waters and maybe something to make the group a little less volatile would probably be helpful. So, okay. You'll let us know on that.
Yep, as soon as I talk to her tomorrow, I'll send out an email of what was discussed and what's going on.
Okay. On the committee reports, we're going to have to try and keep those down. I'm hoping that a report lasts between 5 and 8 minutes, would be ideal. If a director is making the report, we'll need to know, and we've got 4 weeks to determine who's going to make the report and what's going to be in it. So that as directors, you're responsible for your committees. So figure out who's going to do the report. And if they need any slides or any visual presentations that go along with it, we need to get those to Michelle as soon as possible. I go back to the time that I know that it's the time when everybody gets together and it's a good thing. I would suggest maybe like volunteer fundraising, print out something that could be handed out at the beginning of the meeting to all of those attending that tells everything that you've done, all of the things that you expect to do, so that the actual report from the stage is shortened up. And if there is any committee that, and I'll use gatekeeping as an example, Steve, if you have some plan or can show a timeline or something for people to understand or give them a breakdown, and we put that in a paper that can be handed out at the beginning, that will give them something not only to refer to, but also to take home with them so that they have a solid piece of something that's they can they can understand what's happened. So I would strongly stress that any committee that has something like that, even roads will look at something that's going to go on that shows a timeline of what's going to happen and where things are going to be at. So that would be very helpful to do. From there, we have presentations, and the presentations we're going to have are going to be John with the Big Canyon Gun Club. Joe Parrott's going to do a presentation on the 40-acre parcel and development, which he headed that task force. Mr. Forquet is going to come in and do a report for LCF&R. And then Randy Panic, I've got to get together with you to talk about the bridge development and what's going to happen, because I believe all of the landowners need to know what's there and what's going to happen. And that could be an excellent item for a handout and a timeline and an explanation if we can develop that and have it ready to hand out to the people who come in. So, Randy, while I've got you there, can you comment on that, on what you think?
Yeah, I'll get you what you need. I'll get it put
Okay.
together. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, Randy, you're going to have to do a presentation. So is that okay?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Well, I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable position, and I mean that sincerely. So, but
Hey, I'm I'm a member of the association, so I'll
yep,
provide what I need to provide. So
very good. Okay, thank you. So that pretty well would cover the annual meeting. It's supposed to be a 3-hour meeting. It usually runs long. Um, I don't know. I don't know what to expect too much. But as usual, we'll get up and dodge the bullets that we can, and we'll see what happens from there. So, any questions on the annual meeting? Wow. Okay. Michelle, can we roll the agenda up? Okay, so new business. I had sent out a document to the directors concerning the basis for the association adopting a liaison for business operations. We don't have the money to pay to have a lot of this done, so Michelle and I have been discussing this and the work that was provided. Michelle was kind enough to give us a starting point. I think this is an important discussion that we have today because the membership is going to be asking what we're doing with regards to Fieldstone and their elimination. We know that we can't afford to do that right now, but we do have to have a plan in place that says this is what we're going to do. And I think this liaison is the first step. So I'd like to throw it out for discussion. I guess, Dave, you being in the office and business operations probably should have the most concern here. So somebody take it away.
I think this is Rob. I think it's a great idea to get us on a path towards, you know, yes, we cannot afford today to break away, both from a process standpoint, but also from a cost standpoint from Fieldstone, because it's a 3-month cancellation to get out of the contract, that sort of thing, which we just don't have that type of funding right now. But and I guess I'll reiterate that we are always going to need some level of outside third party involvement to assess books and that sort of thing. So I don't think we're looking to get away from that. It's more about just kind of that easy day-to-day stuff, the reports, financial reports, and even bill pay and all that type of stuff is pretty easy task that we can easily do on our own. But yeah, I think this is a good step towards assessing the reality of that and what it would take to make that happen.
Okay.
I agree, Rob. It's a good chance for us to mirror what Fieldstone's been doing and to improve on. So I think this is a real good step in the right direction.
Hey, I'm pretty uncomfortable with it as written. It seems very open-ended with billable hours, and there certainly, in my opinion, would need to be a cap there. And then I also have another question. We have another full year of Fieldstone at our current rates. Is that not correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So they wouldn't be done until the January of 2027?
No, 2020. They have this year 2025, and then in February it ends, or January 31st of 26. Because it was 24 when it was signed. February, the contract was extended in January of 2024, and so it will go through till January of 2026. So next January is when it ends.
We're there for the next 10 months.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think there needs to be a cap on the hours because there is no restriction. It's at billable hours at $50 an hour. Well, that's 40 hours a week. That's more than we're paying Fieldstone right now.
Yeah, and I agree. There, this document that was out was a place to start to give us something to look at and make those changes too. So every director is going to have a chance to look at it and read through it. My intent was to just get it in the minutes that we have something that we're working on and that we do have a plan. Plus, the board as a majority is in agreement that this is the direction that we want to go. So that at least indicates to the landowners that we have something in place. We know what we're working on it. We have our 10 months to get it in place and get it started, because right now we're paying Fieldstone to do this. So obviously we've got 10 months to get it started and get it up and running. So
I'm just a little, I guess, a little uncomfortable with this board making a decision, to excommunicate Fieldstone when we have a new board coming in, very shortly.
well, that's driven by last year's annual meeting, where the vote was taken from the floor to do away with Fieldstone. So it isn't, that doing away with Fieldstone isn't a board decision. That was a mandate brought down by the members at the annual meeting. So we have to satisfy that, unless at this annual meeting there's another vote that says, keep Fieldstone in place. This isn't a board decision to do away with Fieldstone. The board decision is to how to implement something that replaces Fieldstone.
Okay,
And I
thanks for
think,
the clarification. I appreciate that.
yeah, I think the thing that was missing from that vote at the annual meeting was, okay, it's great. We want to get rid of Fieldstone, but there's a 3-month management fee that we have to pay to cancel out. And so there should have been maybe a special assessment attached to that vote or something to say, okay, well, if you want to get out, this is what we need to do, and divide that amount by each landowner or something.
Well, yeah, but as the ceiling comes crashing down, it's hard to find which chair to hide under. So we they made the motion, was seconded and voted on. So the details were left for us to sort out, and this is what we're having to do, is to sort them. So from there, there isn't any decision that I feel that the board has to make today. There's nothing voting on, just that the discussion has opened up, that this is something that a direction that we would like to do. This document that we have is a preliminary. It needs modification, but at least it's the starting point so we can look at it. So, okay. Anything else that we need to cover, either new business, old business, either one that's come to mind to anybody?
Yeah, just one more. I hate to be the
Nope.
fly in the ointment. With regard to this particular hire or whatever, did we forecast that in our upcoming budget, or will we hold off for another year on that?
No, we'll have to hold off until this really is uh, the money would not be available, because the money that we have that we pay Fieldstone now is basically the replacement monies that would pay for this particular liaison person. And that money creates the basis for that pay. So we're in no position to pay two things, or double up the cost on this. So it again, we're trying to get this set up so that we have a few months to get ready. Hopefully the assessments increase will pass, and we'll have that money then, and then we can make sure that everything moves forward, and that's taken over. So, yeah.
And Bill, there's a comment in the chat too that says roads are the most important aspect of Three Rivers. No participation from the chair is concerning. There has not been posting of any meeting by the roads committee last year or this year to date. This is a violation of the bylaws. What is the board's position regarding this matter?
Okay. Bob has noted that he has explained to me that he has posted meetings and he has held meetings. So I don't have any reason to disbelieve what he has said. He has provided me with information. I don't, other than that, I don't have an answer to why he hasn't had meetings or hasn't posted them, because he claims that he has had meetings and they have been posted. So there's a contradiction there. I will have to seek out and get an explanation from Bob. I had hoped he would be on the meeting today, but I'll get an explanation from him on what is happening, and we'll find out from there. And Meg, or I don't, is it Meg who asked the question concerning discussing any assessment or dues increase?
Yes.
What do you mean? That's what the ballot measure is for. There's only one ballot measure going out, and it's to vote to increase the dues and assessments. Was there a question about that?
Well, I didn't know what you were going to be asking for. I was hoping to get involved to help that once you guys decided on what and
did.
how. Okay, well,
You
I
did.
haven't seen anything
We've
about that, so.
Well, we followed your suggestions and way to put it out to the membership. The board had voted to do the increase to $800 annually. We used your suggestions on how to present that to the membership, and the graphics needed and the explanation needed. And Michelle and Stacy had got together and put together some good stuff, and the rest of the board had offered some suggestions that were put in there. So the packet has a pretty clear explanation on what we're doing with the money and where, including one of the suggestions was to get something with the roads, and Kevin Fitzpatrick had supplied a spreadsheet showing distribution of funds over a 10-year period. We reduced that down to a 5-year period because most of the assessments that have been in the past have been for 5 years. So we looked at that. So that explanation. So there's a lot of material in there, which your committee put together what you needed to do, or what you thought was to be the most successful, and we followed that. So thank you. Okay, anything else from anybody? I mean, I feel like I've missed something. It's only 10:20, but
I think we're all preserving time for the annual meeting.
yeah, there you go. That'll be fun. All right. Well, then, hearing nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 10:23.
I'll make the motion, Rob.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote.
Aaron,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yep.
Nami, yes. Tom.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you all again for attending, and take you away from your day. Be safe out there, and we'll have to chat before the annual meeting, but we will do that electronically. Other than that, we'll see everybody else at the Elks Club next month. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.